Hello, everyone. This is Dr.SHIVA Ayadure. It's been a very long day. It's been a long, probably 3 days over the weekend. And it says, okay, LinkedIn, I guess we're not approved yet, Jen. So remove that. So we'll still go. All right. So welcome to everyone on Facebook. YouTube is starting up. Periscope starting up. Hello, everyone. Sorry for the delay. I've been away for about 3 or 4 days. It's been extremely busy as we headed back from Washington, D.C. when I went down there. And then I've been spending a sufficient amount of time really doing a systems analysis of everything that's happened, going back for the last 90 days. And that's what I want to share with you today. The title of the talk today, as everyone can see, is it's coming up if you're on Twitter and Facebook. If you look, let me see if it's coming up here for everyone here. It's really about the time to rebuild America on a foundation of creators, entrepreneurs, and skilled workers. And it's really going to be my analysis of what's going on, because I think a lot of people are under massive confusion. By the way, welcome to everyone from Ohio, California, Canada. Jen, maybe you can share some of the people coming in from Tennessee. We'll just wait till people are coming in. Nevada, Virginia, Michigan, California, Virginia, Australia, Florida, Georgia, Toronto, Oregon. Welcome. Miami. Okay. San Diego. So let me sort of step back. I think if you look at what's happened, we have people in various parts of the country, various parts of the world, people wanting things to reopen. Some places are reopening. Some places are reopening in a phased manner. But regardless, there's massive amounts of uncertainty. In the midst of all of this uncertainty, what I'm finding consistently is people are still shell-shocked and really don't know what took place. And I believe I have some very important a very important analysis that can really explain what actually did take place, what is going on, what causes suffering, and our way out of it. That's what I want to share with you today. So if we step back a little bit, one of the things we need to understand is that, and if we go back to 2008 and 9, so what I want to do is I want to give you sort of a broad economic analysis. I want to lay out who the real enemy is, and who the real agents of change are, and then what we must do if we're going to rebuild America, and we're going to frankly win back this country. Because right now, this country is under massive amounts of assault. And when I mean this country, I mean the actual way of life that many of us aspired for, what we call the American dream. So if you go back to, and if you step back, and what you really start understanding is that the economic system of this country, and for that matter, the world, for a significant amount of time, probably definitely for the last 50, 60 years, has not been built on any real foundation. And what do I mean by that? In the United States, it's not been really built on a foundation of real innovation, real creativity, real skilled workers. So think about what I'm saying. What I'm saying is that what is ultimately the foundation of an economy? And if you really step back and you keep it really simple, the foundation of a real economy is labor, which means skilled people, which means people with the ability to envision things, create things, produce things, making something. Either it's making a business, creating a new innovation that did not exist, having skills to fix things, solve problems. That's what I call reality. Your dishwasher breaks down. You bring in a plumber who knows how to fix it. You have problems in your home. The electricity's not working. Someone comes and fixes it. Your heating system's not working. You have a person who knows HVAC knowledge who comes and fixes it. You have a piece of software that's not working. People know how to actually create and fix it. There is something still in this world called reality. And for the last 50, 60 years, we've created a world where the lawyers and lobbyists, where people who run the establishment, the deep state, have created a world that's not based on anything real. And that world that deep state world has been composed of Republicans and Democrats, the quote unquote, the left and the right, Hollywood, celebrities, Wall Street, big businesses, Amazon, big corporations, big banks, big pharma, the celebrities, the Kennedys, the Democrats, the Clintons, the Gateses. I mean, you can go down the list. It's one big incestuous family of people who don't ever really make anything. They are people who essentially move capital around. They have lots of lawyers, lots of lobbyists, and what they've created is a world that's not real. Obama is included in that. And you go down the list, the CDC, the WHO, but it's the WHO, but essentially this world that's a massive bubble that's been growing. And that world, it has very little respect for people who create things. It has very little respect for small businesses. It has very little respect for entrepreneurs. It has, frankly, zero respect for people who are skilled, any skilled labor. So that's a world that's what I call this deep state world. Now that deep state world has two people who are essentially the shareholders of that, Deep State Inc., if you want to call it. Let's call it Deep State Incorporated. It has two shareholders. One shareholder who owns a majority of that is a 0.00001%. It's a set of people who are a dependent class. They depend on this fake world of a fake stock market, fake value, where assets are overpriced, where they manipulate, they use the Fed, they use the Treasury, they're constantly manipulating things. None of it's real, okay? And that's a 0.001%, which is a dependent class. Many of those people really do not work. The other piece where shareholders of Deep State Inc. are what I call the uber poor, the people that they want to keep on reservations. So think about it this way. When the invaders came here and they took over the Native Americans, one of the things they did was they put them on reservations. And those reservations, they gave them booze, they gave them drugs, they gave them, alcohol, they gave them an environment, and they gave them casinos, for example. But the bottom line was they basically wanted to make these people highly dependent and then eliminate them. So this Deep State Inc. has two aspects. One is, as I mentioned, this 0.001%, who, by the way, are a dependent class. They actually get wealth distribution going to them. And then you have a very small percentage of that Deep State Inc. owned by what I call the uber poor, okay? This is a dependent group. And over the last 50 years, they've been propping up Deep State Inc. on a false economy. It's not built on anything. The whole thing is built on sand, all right? That's what Deep State Inc. is built on. So we had one bubble in 2002, if you remember, the dot-com bubble. Some of you may remember. There were companies which were overvalued, all hyped up by Wall Street, hyped up by VCs, and then that burst. 2008 and 9, we had another big bubble burst. Okay, and instead of letting the big guys fail, the big banks fail, the big investment houses fail, Obama came in and he used what was called quantitative easing. Quantitative easing was essentially a way that allowed the Fed to literally print money, make up money out of ether, and they bailed them out. So they bailed out Deep State Inc. Deep State Inc. was going to collapse. And the dependent class bailed them out. The lawyer lobbyists bailed them out. And that bailout was done on our backs. And I'll explain who our is. You and I, who actually have the skilled workers, the small business owners, the creators, the entrepreneurs. We're the independent class. All of you listening today, most of you are rebels, revolutionaries. You think on your own. You want truth, freedom, and health. You think out of the box. Those people are what I call the independent class. The people want independence versus the deep state, which is about dependence. They want to create a world where everything is big. So in 2008, 2009, that entire Deep State Inc. was collapsing. And instead of letting it collapse, the Deep State Inc. basically did their own maneuvering, and they recreated themselves based on even more house or a deck of cards or sand. And between 2008 and 2008-9 and for the last 11 years, leading up to around September 2019, that entire house of cards was based on manipulating and keeping interest rates low. Okay? Now, why did they keep it? Why do they need to keep interest rates low? Well, the United States GDP, the gross domestic product, is 22 trillion. Well, guess what? The debt, the national debt of the United States is now around 22 trillion. Okay? It's actually more when you include corporate debt, which they don't want to include in that's probably another 10 to 20 trillion. But to be conservative, it's around 22 trillion, probably another probably as high as another 30 probably as high as $30 trillion. So why do I say they need to keep the interest rates low? Well, if you take 1% on 22 trillion, what is that? That's $220 billion. So imagine that you bought a house for $22 trillion and you have to pay 1% interest per year. Well, that's $220 billion. Imagine if the interest rate went up to 5%. Okay, that would mean you owe $1.1 trillion in interest. Forget even paying off the principal. So what the Deep State Inc. has been doing, they do all these manipulations. I mean, I can start explaining it. I've looked into it, but without getting into the weeds, they have so many ways of doing insider trading to keep Deep State Inc.'s house of cards afloat. Okay? Well, in September of 2019, what's called the repo market, which is how the banks do overnight loans to each other, the loan rate was escalated to almost 6% at one point. Okay? It was quite incredible. Few news articles came out of it, which meant that the economy of the Deep State Inc. was extremely weak and was starting to essentially bust. September 2019. So remember that date. So what I'm trying to tell you is that if the interest rates go up, what does that mean? That means that the debt, by the way, many of these corporations, the so-called wealthy big corporations, are basically companies that are frankly not doing that well. And those companies have debt, and if the interest rate goes up, they're going to have to pay a lot of money. So how do you solve keeping the interest rates low? Well, two ways. You increase supply, which means print more money, or you reduce demand. It's basic economics 101. Reduce demand for capital, which means slow down the economy. Everyone following what I'm saying? So the interest rates, if they go up, which means the elites start having to essentially pay more money, right? Because the cost of money goes up. So what they had to do, because remember, Deep State Inc. is built on a deck of cards. It's built on sand. And Deep State Inc. involves big pharma, big banks, big ag, big meat packing industries. You go down the list, big trucking companies, big logistic companies, big academia, big military. That's Deep State, big Hollywood. That's what it is. And that entire big Deep State Inc., frankly, is built on garbage. And that garbage upon garbage upon garbage, the way they manipulate us is to make them buy it through their celebrities, through their Hollywood, through the Democrats, through the Kennedys, through the Republican establishment, etc. Well, that Deep State Inc. was going to collapse again. Well, they needed something to reduce demand so the interest rates wouldn't go up. You know how you reduce demand? You basically slow down the economy. Well, maybe you even shut it down. How fortunate it was that around this time, something called the coronavirus appears. In January, about 6, 2020, which is when this economy was going to completely tank. The Deep State Inc. was going to collapse. And so what they got fortuitously was Corona. And when I mean Deep State Inc., that includes China Inc. Now, if you go back and look 6 months before January timeframe, what do you see? Venezuela, massive protests. Go look at it. Hong Kong, massive protests. France, massive protests. South Africa, massive protests. You just had Brexit take place. You had a populist guy get elected, Modi in India, re-elected, a populist president of the United States. You had populism, protests taking place all over the world. Just go look at it. That's what was happening because the economy overall was collapsing. What deep state had created was falling apart. It was being held up by a false Wall Street model, at least in the United States. So the COVID crisis comes, and it comes at a perfect time because, and by the way, there's a number of economists like Jim Sinclair have talked about it. This economy was going to tank, nosedive. So what they did was this virus was used. I mean, you have to think about, why did the entire world economy stop working? Because they needed to slow down everything, because they needed to lower demand for capital. That's how they are keeping the interest rates low. So who were the victims of this? Well, definitely working people, but the real victims of this were the entrepreneurs, the small business owners, the creators, the real producers, people who actually build stuff, construction people, plumbers, electricians. All these jobs were shut down. Skilled workers didn't have jobs. Entrepreneurs had to shut down their businesses. Small business owners like restaurant owners, gym owners, nail salon owners, all of them who actually have overhead, they have to pay taxes, they have to pay overhead, rent, employers. All of them are the ones who took the hit. Okay, and what the big deep state did was print money. Nearly $6 trillion got printed in the United States. $6 trillion. That's nearly 30% of the GDP they printed. 22 trillion. And then Nancy Pelosi in the United States wants to print another 3 to 4 trillion, which means almost 50% of the GDP they're going to print. They're just going to print money. On whose backs? On the backs of the creators, the innovators, the entrepreneurs, the small business owners, and the skilled workers. So what we have right now, if you were to take this head, which represents the devil of the deep state, the two horns it has is Republicans and Democrats, left and right, one which is the massive 0.001%, and then the left is the dependent class of very poor, people are on welfare, etc. What the deep state's goal is, the enemy of the deep state is you and I, and when I mean you and I, those people who actually are producers, people who are independent, business owners, entrepreneurs, people who create, people who are skilled workers. So if you can get this, everything will emerge. What they want to do, the Deep State Inc., they have realized that their entire game is up, and their entire quote-unquote economy is built on a deck of cards where they cannot allow creativity. They cannot allow rebellion. They cannot allow entrepreneurs who think for themselves. They cannot allow small business owners who compete with big. So the way that the big deep state works is they must shut us down for them to survive. And who is them? Big pharma, big tech, big ag, big meat packing industries, and so on. So the way that they operate is that they must issue regulations. It's basically the administrative state. So they must put regulations on us, the independent class of people who come up with ideas, people who create things. And that is people like myself who create things like Cytosolve, things like Systems Health, have my own building, create things. People like you, if you're a skilled plumber, electrician, artist, etc., nail salon owner, small business owner. We are the people who are the engines of America, who compete with them. So take any business, small bank, big bank. One of the things that made America great was the 12,000 small banks. Well, Dodd-Frank, brought to you by people like Elizabeth Warren and others, destroyed around 2,000 to 3,000 small banks. So they imposed regulations, which was supposedly to regulate the big guys, but what it actually does is protect the big guys, create monopolies. So the right uses regulations. So the left imposes regulations on you and I, the working people. So the right gets to create monopolies. You see, they work hand in hand. They use people like the Kennedys and the Elizabeth Warrens and the Bernie Sanders to talk about safety for all of us. Okay? Well, we want to protect you from the big banks. So they created the regulations, which actually destroyed 3,000 small banks, which was your local mom and pop banks, and it actually created bigger banks. You take the trucking industry. Well, they actually want to destroy the small truckers, talking about safety, by putting ELD devices, and I can talk more about that, to control them, while they've allowed big trucking companies to come. Well, there used to be a lot of butchers in this country. Well, now we have 4 major meatpacking companies. 1 Chinese owned, 1 Brazilian owned, and 2 American owned. And meanwhile, they use regulations to destroy all the small butchers. And you can go down the list. Big toy makers like Mattel wanted to be regulated, so you eliminated small toy makers. And you go down the list. They want, the Deep State Inc. needs everything to be big, big, big. Facebook and Google are now wanting to be regulated. You know why? They want to destroy small Facebooks coming up. They want to make it too expensive. I can tell you, about 15, 20 years ago, when the Enron Anderson consulting thing took place, where we found out there was massive corruption with the auditing firms, I used to pay around $5,000 for my audit. Well, literally in 1 year, they said, oh, we need to protect all the people. We need safer auditing. Well, they imposed regulations on the big auditing firms who were doing all the cheating, but my auditing fees went up by 7 times. I was a small business, from $5,000 to $35,000. So you got to understand what the Deep State Inc. is doing. They only want to have in any sector maybe 2 or 3 monopolies, and they want to eliminate all of us. If you look in the North End in Boston right now, nearly 50% of those businesses, restaurant owners, are going to be out of business. But think about it. Dunkin' Donuts is open. Starbucks is open. McDonald's is open. Meanwhile, these nice small restaurants are all being closed up because they want to destroy, and get this very clearly, they want to destroy the small business owner. They must destroy the small innovators and the entrepreneurs. They surely don't want people like me when I was 14 inventing email. That's what bothers them. They don't want innovators doing stuff bottoms up. Everything's got to be top down, because Deep State Inc. is completely corrupt. Deep State Inc.'s business model is failing. Their only way to survive is to have 1 or 2 Amazons, 1 or 2 Facebooks, a few banks in any sector, a few big agriculture companies like Monsanto, etc., Syngenta, in any sector. And in fact, they don't want small innovators like myself. If you are a small doctor, if you come out of medical school, they don't want you starting your own practice. That's why there's been a 40%, 50% decline in the number of family practitioners. You come out of medical school, you go join a big hospital. They don't want companies like myself, Cytosolve, figuring out how to use natural products to solve problems. They want big pharma, big vaccines. Everything's got to be big. And this is what I mean. They are creating, it is a fight of our lives between the people who want to be independent, what America was about, bottoms up innovators, versus top down, the big guys. Regulations, the administrative state versus the independent state of people who produce. This is where we're at. This COVID virus was created to save the nosedive of a Deep State Inc., which was going to collapse. And the victims of that are the creators, the entrepreneurs, the skilled workers. They want to wipe us out. What they want to do with us is they want us to go on the reservation, okay? They want us to become dependent workers. Now, if you own a small business, they're already paying workers to stay at home, $600 a week, $2,400 extra on top of unemployment. A lot of the very low-end working people don't want to go to work. This is a model that was once done with putting the Native Americans on reservations. Or in places like India, among the poor people, they give them bags of rice, they give them a TV, they give them a laptop to buy their votes. They don't want people coming out. So on the one hand, the quote unquote left just wants to give money, and the left works with the right to impose regulations on people, to create monopolies for the right. Between the left and the right stands you and I, the working people, people with skills, people who create businesses. So we got to go beyond left or right. This is about truth, freedom, and health. I hope you're understanding what I'm saying. If you really look at this analysis, Deep State Inc.'s business model cannot survive with entrepreneurs. It cannot survive. You and I are competitors to Deep State Inc. They need big Facebook. They need big Google. They need big Wall Street. They need the few big central banks. They need the Fed. They need Hollywood to manipulate us. They need the Kennedys. They need the Clintons. And you go down the list. This is about the independent class of people who want to be independent, free, versus a people who want to create a dependent class. And that dependent class needs everything to be big, and they need a whole nother set of people to be drones on a reservation. On pot, smoking all day. That's why all the liquor companies are open. That's why all the liquor stores are open. They want people to be fat, dumb, and happy. And by the way, those people want to be fat, dumb, and happy, just like they did with the Indians. One day they'll be eliminated too, because you won't need them, because they'll replace them with robots or automate them. So the goal of the administrative deep state is regulate us into extinction. Because when I was in the North End today, it doesn't make any sense. And finally, over the last 2 days, I've been thinking, they actually want to destroy the small business. They want to destroy the entrepreneur. They want to destroy America. That is what's going on. And if we don't get this, and if we don't unite, what I'm meaning, if the creators, the entrepreneurs, the producers, the people skill work, we need to unite. And we need to get together fast, because by September, October of next year, they will do this again. Because you know why? Their Deep State Inc. is failing. The only way for it to survive is to eliminate the competition, I repeat, which is the entrepreneurs, the innovators, the skilled workers. They want to destroy us, make us part of the dependent class where we will also accept welfare money, and everything will be moved to a few big mega corporations. That is where this is all headed towards. I hope you guys are clear on this. So what's the way out? There's only one way out. It means that those people who are the creators, who are the entrepreneurs, who are the producers, who are the skilled workers, which what I call the true Americans, need to unite. And they need to unite around the principles of truth, freedom, and health, which means we need to fight for freedom. And that freedom means the right to speak, the right not to be censored. And one way is the Digital Rights Act, which I put forward. Number two, we need to fight for real truth, which is a real scientific method. We need to eliminate big academia, because right now fake science is running everything. With fake science is how they were able to convince everyone to put on these stupid masks and not talk about immune boosting. The real science will show that 3 things can boost our immune system. 1, we need to be with other people. Social isolation lowers antimicrobials in your body, increases inflammation. We need to get in the sun and get vitamin D. We need to eat those green leafy vegetables to get vitamin A. That's how we boost the immune system. But not one of the Deep State Inc. wants to talk about boosting the immune system. Left or right, they want to talk about either imposing vaccines or vaccine safety. You know what I'm talking about. They're part of the same machine, either to get us slap us with this way or slap us this way. So the bottom line is the only way out of this is as people to unite and realize maybe we need a new Declaration of Independence for the people who are independent, because we have the Deep State Inc. wants to make big corporations. They want to make people dependent. And remember, the 0.001% really don't do work. They're actually dependent on the Deep State Inc. And so are the uber poor. So they want to either make us poor or they want to co-opt us to sell ourselves out to big corporations. We're at a very important turning point, like I've been saying. But what I wanted to share in the systems analysis today with all of you is that the Deep State Inc. economic model is based on sand. They need to be destroyed. Deep State Inc. must collapse. And it can only happen if the producers, the innovators, the entrepreneurs, the small business owners, the skilled workers in this country unite, and they start realizing that if we don't unite, we will be made extinct. And I'm not giving us that much time. September, October of this coming year, this quote unquote, the next virus will come. The next economic holocaust will take place among small business owners. And after that, you give away once amount of freedom. Freedom once given away is very, very hard to take back. Everyone knows out there that I am running for US Senate. I just want to take a quick break to share that with you guys. I'm running for US Senate. Here's our Senate page up here. People should go up to the US Senate page and support our campaign. As people know, our campaign is really about truth, freedom, and health, as everyone knows. It is not simply a campaign about some guy just wanting to win the Senate seat. It's far more than that. Without freedom, which is the right to debate, the right to not be censored, the right to have open a debate, we can then have real science to get to truth. And with real science, we can solve real problems. We can identify real solutions to get to health. And with health, with strong bodies, strong minds, strong infrastructure, we can fight for freedom. These things are intimately related. Now, what I just shared with you comes from a deep understanding of systems thinking. When you start thinking systems, when you start having a way to look at the world as a system, you can solve these problems. But the Deep State Inc. never wants you to think about systems. Remember, Deep State includes the mainstream media, includes Hollywood, very foolish people there who want to manipulate you, give you little toys to look at. But when you start thinking about the world as systems, then you can free yourself. You don't need me doing this kind of analysis. And one of the goals that we set out to do when I decided to run for Senate was I wanted to give you the tools so you can look at the world as a system. And as a part of that, when you support the campaign, I support you with a cool book called System and Revolution. It's a ebook. You get it right online. It teaches you the principles of all systems. It teaches you how to think systems. It's 50 years of my knowledge distilled. And then I give you a tool called Your Body, Your System, which allows you to see the world as a system by seeing your own body as a system. And this is if you donate $25, so please do that. But if you can't afford that in these economic times, give whatever you can. And you can see you can give 5 or 10 and you still get access to it. But Your Body, Your System, let me take you to that. Your Body, Your System is a very powerful tool that applies the principles of systems thinking to your own body, where you get to understand in this. By the way, every system in the universe can be put into this grid of transport, conversion, and storage. Your body itself can be understood by answering a set of questions, what kind of system you are, in this case denoted by this red dot. Then you can answer a different set of questions, figure out how your body is disturbed from what it is. And then you can figure out what foods, supplements, yoga exercises, which are inputs, bring you back to you. By the way, this is not about health by itself. It's really about understanding how your body is a system, has a unique situation, how your body can go off course, and how you can bring your body back on course. But these systems principles that I've just shared with you have nothing to do with just your physical health. That's not what this is about. That may be an outcome, but the goal is for you to start understanding a systems way to look at the world. So when you come back and you actually look at what I just shared with you, the system here is there is this deep state system, and it is collapsing, okay? They're built on sand. That deep state system has two partners, the 0.001%, and then the very, very poor, who are both dependent. They don't work, they don't have skills, lawyers and lobbyists on this deep state Inc. Their enemy from a systems perspective is you and I. If you have skills, if you produce something, if you make something, that's what the deep state finds as their biggest enemy. And I hope you can understand that. That's why this entire COVID crisis has nothing to do with the virus, like I've been saying. But it took me a while to figure out what the hell's going on. That's what I'm sharing with you. Their economic system is collapsing. They created the virus to make sure their fall wouldn't go way down. They had to shut down the world economy to control interest rates. That's what they did. They engineered this to control interest rates, to keep it low. They don't know what they're doing right now. They have no idea what they're doing. They're dancing around. But what they do know is that the Americans, the real Americans who built this country, the entrepreneurs, the innovators, the small business people, the skilled workers are their enemy, and they need to destroy us. So this is, I would say, this is a last stand that's coming. And if we, as the creators, the real Americans, do not unite, we're going to be totally screwed. And we're entering into the administrative state like China. And China is all part of this. The administrative state, few big corporations, the elites, and the rest of us are going to be on reservation. I'm telling you, they do not want entrepreneurs. They do not want innovators. They do not want small business people. They want big, big, big. That's what's going on. What I can do is, if people are interested, I can take a few questions. If you can put your questions right on, Jen will read them out, and we can take some questions right now. But we have to understand how systems, we need to create, everyone listening must become a systems revolutionary. You got to read the book Systems and Revolution. You have to understand the principles, because you need tools if we're going to fight. But one of the most important weapons we need to do is we need to unite the people who actually produce stuff against the lawyer lobbyists. Someone says, we need to get rid of our Illinois governor. He's a dictator here, taking our Constitution away, us home, wearing a mask, and keeping our small businesses closed. Look, the masks do nothing. We need to boost the immune system. None of these guys are talking about it. You know why? They don't want to boost our immune system. They don't give a damn about our public health. They know the masks are useless. In fact, in Massachusetts, the average age of someone dying from COVID is 82 years old, 82. You know what the average lifespan is in Massachusetts? 80. That tells me that it's better to get COVID, okay? The whole thing is a complete hoax. We need to all take off our masks. We need to start shaking hands. You can wash your hands, but we need to come back together in friendship. Thanks for your correspondence. Not to overwhelm, more to consider. Now more than ever before, the people must learn how to take responsibility for the character of their Congress. If that body be ignorant, reckless, and corrupt, it is largely because the people have intentionally been reduced to ignorance, recklessness, and corruption by those in power. If it be intelligent, brave, and pure, it is because we, the people, demand these high qualities to represent us in the national legislature. That's Nathan F. Stinson. Nathan, you nailed it. Look, ultimately, this comes down to you and me. Are we going to keep electing idiots, people who are part of Deep State Inc., who do not produce anything, who are leeches? It's really simple. Are we going to take responsibility for what we put into our mouth, what we put on us? Are we going to take responsibility for people who we elect, who are going to create the infrastructure? We're going to create this infrastructure. Are we going to look at, is this guy a producer? Is he a creator? Is he a small business owner? Is he a skilled worker? Because that's who you are and I am. Are we going to elect lawyers and lobbyists idiots? It really is about us. Forget them. It's not about them, as Nathan just said. It's about us. Are we going to wake up from our sleep? Because you know what? Just like they did to the Native American Indians, they put them on reservations. They gave them booze. They gave them alcohol. They gave them drugs. They gave them casinos. Well, that's what they're doing to us. Cannabis, smoke all weed all day. They kept all the liquor stores open. And then they're giving people $600 a week. Doesn't that sound like a reservation to you? That's what this is. That's not what the America my parents left India for. The America that I love, I care, that was the American dream, was hardworking people who stood up, who fought, who had courage. That's what this country is about. And that country is being destroyed right in front of our eyes by the lawyer lobbyist class. And it's up to you and I to save it. I wonder if I could legally refuse to wear a mask if my employer demands it. Look, let me tell you something. You know, if you have a health condition that you can't wear a mask, your employer cannot ask you what your health condition is. That's a violation of HIPAA. Okay? So I'm going to tell you. I have a health condition that I can't wear a mask. And if anyone tries to ask me what that health condition is, it's none of their business. It's a violation of HIPAA. So it's time that we, the people, started becoming Americans again. I was just in the North End. That's where Paul Revere went through, okay? That's where the Boston Tea Party took place. Are we going to be sheep, or are we going to be men and women? Courage. Because if we have about 90 days, that's what I give us, if that. If we don't stand up, we're all going to lose this country. That's where we're at. I hope you understand that. Perhaps I see this clearly because I came here as an immigrant as a kid. But we got to wake up from our sleep. We have to fight for the American dream now. And that American dream is, there isn't us versus them. There's a people who create, people who produce, people who use their ingenuity, make stuff, create, work their butt off, versus those people who don't do anything, the lawyers and lobbyists. Civil war, that's what you can call it. But the Civil War even can take place when people realize there is a war going on. There's a lot of people, Carolyn, who don't even know, Carolyn Folsom says that there's a war underway. But I'm telling you, this is no different than putting us on a reservation. You're fighting for the world, Shiva. Look, we all need to rise up, because I'm telling you that the deep state wants big. They want Facebook. They're going to regulate Facebook. You know why? So no other Facebooks can come up. They're going to regulate Google. You know why? So no other Googles can come up. Regulation is what the Kennedys always do, as though they're going to help everyone, right? The Democratic Party. Regulations feed into monopolies, which is what the right wants. The left and the right work hand in hand. One says they want to help you, and the other is there to create monopolies. I'm a realtor too. Don't use Zillow anymore. Good idea. Big monopoly. People need to realize that we need to go back to supporting our small businesses. We need to go back to supporting entrepreneurialism, back to hard work. Look, you can smoke as much weed as you want. That's up to you. But I can tell you this, that the modern weed, there's a reason that they legalize weed. There's a reason that they kept all the liquor stores open. There's a reason they're giving people $600 a week. This is not because they care for you. This is because they want to make you a slave, just like they did on the reservations. And you know what? After a while, they're just going to eliminate you. So wake the hell up. That's what this is about. We're seeing the destruction of America, and the only way to save it is to wake up and to get organized. Otherwise, the country that we knew is going to be gone. I heard Whole Foods took colloidal silver out. They don't want people to use it. It's good for immunity. Lavinia Chirita. Look, they do not want you to be able to stand up on your own 2 feet. And they will do anything to make you dependent. It's really the dependent deep state versus the independent American. That's what this is about. And this is a global phenomenon. They created the coronavirus because their deep state is failing, and we must push it over the edge and destroy it, because they're going to destroy us. That's where this is at. And I'm literally giving us until probably September, October. And it's very interesting. That's when the election's coming. And it's a very, very important point. And this is the time people need to wake up and understand this dynamic. Daniel James Wicker writes, Dr. Shiva, I'm a self-employed massage therapist who's had to close down my studio. Our industry is in shambles, and all of our leaders are playing hot potato with liability. Should we just buck the entire system and try to move forward? In order for us to succeed in our small business, people's fears have to be resolved so that I can give our service. Yeah, so Daniel, you're asking a very important question. Look, if you think about a massage therapist, what Daniel does, Daniel is an independent massage therapist. He directly helps people directly. He's not part of some big hospital. He's directly helping people. We need to educate people on the following thing. In order to relieve people's fear, we need to go back and teach people that it is about boosting the immune system, boosting the immune system, boosting the immune system. I've done enough videos to educate all of you. You can go to truthfreedomhealth.com. Take those videos and get them out there. If you can't get access to them and YouTube has pulled them out, we will put them on our own server so you can get them accessible. But number one, we need to educate people that a virus or a pathogen is not what kills you. That's total nonsensical science. It is a weakened and dysfunctional immune system that attacks itself. And so the way we protect all of us from a public health perspective is to boost the immune system. 3 ways to boost the immune system. Number 1, you ensure that you have good friendships, love. You don't socially isolate yourself. That laughter and that fellowship boosts the antimicrobial activity, lowers inflammation. Vitamin D in the sun. If you can't get it, take some vitamin D3. I've put it in my protocol. Get vitamin A, the iodine. These are things. Start learning how to boost your immune system. The green leafy vegetables. Massage therapists, true healers, definitely. Why are churches locked up? Exactly. Why are churches locked up? Why is Costco open? Why is McDonald's open? Why is Starbucks open? And what you'll find, why is Home Depot open? You'll find these are all big, big corporations, part of the big deep state. Why is it that no government official has taken a salary cut? Why is it the governors, the legislators, the mayors, the administrative state, why are they still being paid? Why haven't they shut down? Why haven't they? And what you'll find is that it is Deep State Inc. versus you and I. This is a war that's going on, and we better wake up to that. I took my 80-year-old mama to the sunny beach this weekend, and it was packed. Oh, really? Where was that? That's great. That's awesome. Let me just, I don't want to lose this here. There we go. How much daily iodine, someone else asked. Look, if you go to the letter that I wrote to the president, if you go to the letter that I wrote to the president, you can find it. What I said for daily maintenance, for an average adult, 5 to 10,000 IUs of vitamin D, 10,000 units of vitamin A. You can get the Lugol's iodine, and you can take around 6 drops. You can also get it from the kelp and the dulse and these kinds of seaweed. They support your thyroid. But there's many other things you can do. But friendships, fellowship, laughter with friends. If you isolate yourself and you are prone to depression, you're going to hurt your immune system. You got to get the sun 15, 20 minutes a day or take the vitamin D3. And you have to support your body by eating the dark green leafy vegetables and the dark fruits. At this point, Mr. Shiva, is there destabilization taking place in blue states? Probably. Collagen powder. Yep. So how about sea moss and bladderwrack? These are all, look, the seaweeds are one of the most underrepresented foods. They're really, really good for you, particularly with the iodine consumption. Los Angeles on lockdown till July. Look, what is happening in this country is literally the Deep State Inc. economic system versus the dependent class versus the independent class. That's the way you want to think about it. There is a division, and it's Americans, real Americans versus fake Americans. Privatized government employment, citizens retain all public assets. We need to all go to bed today and start thinking about what is it we want. We need to create a new Bill of Rights. Remember, Jefferson said every once in a while, he talked about a boy, as a boy gets bigger, the jacket gets too tight. You have to throw away the old jacket and you have to put on a new jacket. Okay? The Declaration of Independence was never accepted as a legal document because it provides the fundamental basis of if we believe that the government needs to be abolished, we should do so. And what I'm talking about is Deep State Inc. The lawyer lobbyists have seized control of our way of life. They want to put most of us on the reservation, and their entire economic system is based on a few controlling a lot of us who are unskilled. I'm very isolated and depressed and can't snap out of it. Casey Jones. Casey, look, one of the best things you can do for yourself, to get out of that is you need to find friends. You need to start listening to music if you can, good music. You need to get out in the sun. And I would say really start taking the D3, and start supporting your immune system, because when you're getting depressed, you start eating the fatty fish, the D3, the vitamin A, you need that. No isolation, hugs for health. Definitely. Look, the masks, you can even read the 2 major papers that came out. They do nothing. Okay, the virus particles can still enter. The goal is to boost the immune system. Boost the immune system, boost the immune system. And there's enough stuff you can find on the internet to show you besides me. But I can tell you there's 80,000 papers written on the importance of vitamin D. I was the first guy to really put this out there broadly. A lot of people have known about this. And in fact, they took down our videos when we spoke about vitamin D. They let the deep state guys talk about it so they can control it, okay? But the bottom line is we, the people, need to stand up on our own 2 feet. That is what this country is built on. We can't be dependent anymore. D3 has to be taken with lots of dark leafy greens or with K2. Exactly, Christy. It's a very important part. If you're taking D3, you can take it with vitamin K2, or make sure you're getting a lot of, I eat a lot of kale. I eat a lot of, I had kale today. I had collard greens yesterday. And they're actually pretty cheap foods. You can grow them in your backyard. Start having a small garden. Start growing these dark leafy green vegetables. Shiva, how to protect yourself in court against peaceful protest arrest. Look, one individual, it cannot make a movement. We need to start building a mass movement, bottoms up. Bottoms up. That's what we need to do. Well, look, if you have the right to assemble, you have the right to peaceably assemble and protest. All right? But we need to do it in mass. My point is the skilled labor, the working people, the entrepreneurs, the small business owners, we all got to unite. This is America. And our enemy is a lawyer lobbyist class. Bottoms up. Exactly, Connie. There's no one's going to look. I know the Q guys follow me. They like me. We have the president. But right now, it's not us relying on someone else from top down. There may be very good people top down, but it's going to be us bottoms up. The mask help as much as you chain link a fence for mosquitoes. Exactly. That's exactly what it is. Yeah, mosquitoes can go through a chain link fence. Exactly. Lavinia Charitha said that. Exactly. We all have to be willing to be fired. Exactly. But we have to also be strategic. We have to start thinking about what is it we want. And I'm going to be talking about that tomorrow because I'm getting a lot of ideas from people, okay? One of the things that I want to put out there, this is one of the 8 ideas I'll put out there. What is to be done? What are the demands that we should demand so this never, ever happens again? Never again should this happen. One of the demands is that, let's take in the restaurant business. No government should ever be able to close any restaurant down unless at least 67% of the restaurants agree to that lockdown. You guys see what I'm saying? So if you're in the nail business, the nail salon owners, at least 60, a super majority we call it. No business should be able to be shut down without the association of that business collectively agreeing at least 67% to shut it down. This is how we got to start thinking. We got to start thinking, what is it we want? And what is it we will demand? We got to stop being victims. Right now is to start listing down, okay, how do we make sure this never, ever happens again? Because what this has showed is that the governments think they are our masters. They're not. They are our servants. And we have allowed our rights to be sold to them because we've just been sleeping, and it's time to wake up. Are we a country by the people, for the people, or are we a country going to be ruled by a set of top-down masters? So I want everyone to think about this. Email me with your ideas, vashiva@vashiva.com, and we're going to come up with a list of demands that we, the people, want. Digital rights. We need the Postal Service to offer us digital rights. And like this, we need to come up with ideas. I have some, but please email them to me. And tomorrow, we should put up our own Bill of Rights. That's what we need to do. We need to create the people's new Bill of Rights. We can never allow this to happen again. And by the way, no lawyer is going to do this for us. We don't need celebrities. We don't need the Kennedys. We don't need any of these fools, okay? We need to build a bottoms-up movement by the people, for the people. We don't need the Clintons. We don't need the Gateses, missionaries. We need us. I want to help our movement of truth, freedom, and health. Exactly. So let's put our heads together. What is it we want? So we got to now think about what is it we want? So this will never, ever happen again. So email me at vashiva@vashiva.com. Support our campaign. Look, I'm running for US Senate, but I can tell you this, I'm not running to become a senator. I'm running to build a movement for all of us. It is our movement. So go to shivaforsenate.com. Give whatever you can. Support the campaign. Volunteer. If you're out of state, you can volunteer. If you're in state, you can volunteer. You can volunteer wherever you are. Donate whatever you can. Get your body, your system. Start becoming a system revolutionary. You have to get the tools. And that's what I put into that book. It's my life's work. It'll teach you what are systems and what is a revolution from a very scientific perspective. What is a revolution? Think about it. And you'll learn that in System and Revolution. So if you're out of this country, you can go directly to yourbodyyoursystem.com and you can get the tool and the book. If you're in the United States, you can support the campaign. Okay, I don't want to take too much more time. It's 12:08. I hope this was valuable, but it's time that we started figuring out what is it we want, not what they're doing to us. It doesn't matter what they're doing to us. We have to set our own goals. And that's one of the things from a systems perspective. What is our goal? And, there's a set of things that we need to figure out. What is our Declaration of Independence? We need to go back to 1776. We need to go back to the future. July 4th is coming up pretty soon, right? May, June. It's about less than 60 days away. It's a good time to rethink what it means to be an independent, free human being. Because right now, they want us to be slaves. That's what this is headed towards. They'll give us $2,400. They'll give us some cannabis. They'll give us liquor stores. They'll give us McDonald's. They'll give us Dunkin' Donuts. But it's time that we started becoming human beings. Again, it's time to become Americans again. Anyway, thank you, everyone. It's time to fight and be the light. We don't have much time. I'm telling you, we don't have a lot of time. So everyone, send me your ideas. Tomorrow, work together as a collective group of people who want to win, who are independent-minded people. Let's figure out what our Bill of Rights are and put that back together. And then maybe build a petition around that for ourselves, not for them, but to bring all of us together. Anyway, thank you very much. I hope everyone has a good evening. God bless you. Thank you.